Hey everybody, welcome back to Piano Time. Today we're going to be learning the song You'll Be Back from Hamilton the Musical. It's a pretty fun song to play and a very fun song to sing along with. I'll tell you that this version that I'm going to show you is guaranteed to be the simplest way for you to accompany yourself on this song. I'm going to show you the 3-note chord version. So let's get started the same way that we usually do. Let's take a look at the chord sheet. Now for those of you who have been watching my Piano Time videos, you know that a chord sheet or a chord chart has the lyrics of the song, and then above the lyrics we have these capital letters. When you see a capital letter by itself, that means play the major chord of that name. So here we want to play G major. And then if you see a capital letter followed by a lowercase m, that means play the minor chord. So here we want to play A minor. Sometimes what will happen is that you'll find a chord sheet that's a little bit more complicated. You don't understand all the notation. And so I'm going to give you a couple of hints on how to simplify that. Like for instance, when I downloaded this chord sheet to begin with, it looked like this. So let's take a look at this notation here, AM7. That means play the A minor 7 chord. Now whenever you have a number attached to a chord name, that is telling us to add a note to the chord. In this case, to add the minor 7 note to the A minor chord. That does sound complicated. In the next video, I'm going to show you a 4-note chord version of this song. And in that video, I'll show you how to play the A minor 7. But for this simple video, I'm simply going to ignore the 7. And that is one little hint. If you're just starting with chord sheets and you see a 7 or a 6 or a 9 or a 2, one of these numbers that's asking us to add a note to our chord, in almost all cases, you can ignore it. And the chord will sound enough like the correct chord that you'll be fine. I'll show you what this sounds like. Here's our simple 3-note A minor chord. Here's if we add the minor 7. So it sounds a little bit different. It's the same chord. That added note just adds a different layer of color to the chord. So again, if you're just starting out and you leave it out, it'll be just fine. All right, let's take a look at this other new notation. We have G/F. Now that's an example of a slash chord, which is notation for a guitar player to add a note in the bass. In this case, it's saying play the G major chord and then add F in the bass. Now, if you see a slash chord and you're just trying to keep things simple, in most cases you can just leave out the slash and then the next letter, and it'll sound just fine. In this case, though, the /F is kind of, when you hear me play it, I think if you've heard the song, you'll be like, oh, that sounds like the song. And so I'm leaving it in this version because it's simple enough to play and it does sound pretty good. So I'm going to leave that in. In this version though, I'm going to take out all of the 7s. And I'm also going to take out a number of these D major chords. And the reason for that is, even though it does sound better when that chord is played, it's a different shape than the other chords, and you have to move kind of quickly between the A minor to the D and then the D to the G. So I'm going to play this song, the verse and the chorus. I'm going to remove the Ds, and then I'll play it another time through with the Ds in there so you can hear and see what that looks and sounds like. So let's see what chords we need for the intro. We're going to start with G. In order to make a G chord, we're going to start with the foundational note, and for the G chord, that's going to be G. So let's find G on the piano. That's Grandma's room in the main house. We're going to skip a white key, play the next white key. Skip a white key, play the next white key. And if we play all 3 of those at the same time, that gives us a simple 3-note G chord, or G major chord. Like I said before, most of the chords in this song are going to have the same shape, so it's going to make it easy for us. But this next chord is the G/F. We're going to play this exact same G chord, but we're going to add in another note. We're going to play this F in the bass. We're going to play the F right next to the G here. So it sounds like this. And if we start with the G, then we play the G with the F, you hear that walk down. Sounds kind of nice. The next chord is going to be C. So all we need to do is lift our hand, keep our right hand position the same, and we're going to find the new root with our right thumb, which is C. So we need to slide this whole shape down to the C. That's going to give us the C chord. And then the next chord is A minor. All we need to do is find the new root, which is A, with our right thumb. And now the last chord of the intro is going to be D. This is D major, so we're going to slide up to the D. If we were to play the same shape, that would give us D minor. And if you watch my video on minor and major chords, you know that if we know what the minor chord is, the easy way to make a major chord is just to change that middle note by a half step and go up one half step. It was a minor third here, and then if you play the major third, that gives you D major. All right, so let's play all the chords for the intro together. Each chord is going to get 4 beats, except for the A minor, which is just going to get 2 beats. And it'll sound like this. We'll start with the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, G slash F, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, A minor to D, like that. And that's the intro. Now we're ready for the verse. We have most of the same chords. We're going to start with G, so we'll go back to the G. You say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your tea, which you hurl in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? That's E minor. Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your man. And that D is a D major. So that's the only chord that's a different shape. All right, so now we're ready for the chorus. And for the chorus, instead of playing each chord for 4 beats, we're going to play each chord for 1 beat. So we're going to play quarter notes instead of whole notes. And it'll sound like this. We'll take the tempo a little slow for this time through. Like that. You'll be back, soon you'll see. You remember you belong to me. You'll be back, time will tell. You remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. We have seen each other through it. And now we have a new chord, C minor. I think you're going to like this chord. Now, since we're playing the C right now, all we need to do to make a major chord minor, again, is change that middle note. If we have a major third in the middle, we want to make that a minor third. So we're going to change that middle note and make it 1 half step lower. So instead of this white key, we're going to play this black key. And that'll make a simple 3-note C minor chord. So we go from C major to C minor. And in the song, it's not that hard to do. So let's go back to We Have Seen Each Other Through It All. We have seen each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my... And then we go back to G. Now this time when we go to G, I've been playing all of these G chords up here at this G. You can also play any of these G chords down here, same shape, this G down here. It's the same chord, just down an octave. And when we get to this last G of the chorus, I recommend going from this A minor, armed battalion to remind you of my love. Just right down, that just takes us 1 set of white keys down to the left. And that gives us our G here. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of the verse. I'm going to add back in these Ds so that you can see and hear what that sounds like. And I'll play some of the Gs down low. In fact, I'll start with the first G that we play down low down here. Okay? 1, 2, 3. You say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your tea, which you hurl in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your man. On to the chorus. You'll be back, soon you'll see. You remember you belong to me. You'll be back, time will tell. You remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. We have seen each other through it. And now we come to the C minor. Oh, and when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Ba-da-da. And then we go on to the next part of the song, which is that bada-bada-bada song. In this chord sheet, it calls that the bridge. I don't know. As a songwriter, I wouldn't necessarily call that the bridge. I would call that like, that's the end part of the chorus, really. For this time through, I am going to leave out this D here because that's, again, the transition in and out of that D is kind of tough. So to simplify things, I'm just going to leave it out. We're going to start with the G. It's all chords that we've seen before, just in a slightly different configuration or order. And we'll start with the G here, up high, to remind you of my love. Da 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 C minor da G da 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 da. And now we come to the part of the song that I think is the bridge, and we're gonna go right to the E minor for a single hit. Say our love is draining and you can't go on. Back to the E minor. You be the one complaining when I'm gone. And now to A minor. And no, don't change the subject. Remember, that's D major. So we're going to go from A minor to D major, and then back to A minor, back to D major. It's different shapes, so you might need a little more practice to get that transition right. But let's do it with the lyrics. And no, don't change the subject, 'cause you're my favorite subject. Now on to F. My sweet, submissive subject. My loyal, royal subject. And then on to G. Forever and ever. And now we're going to go straight to the C minor, which is again, a tougher transition. So take your time figuring out, finding that C, and then finding that minor third. And ever and ever and ever. And now we're ready for page 3, the final chorus and the outro. So we'll play this just up to tempo and we'll finish up together. Ready? Let's find our G chord. You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war. For your love, for your praise. And I'll love you till my dying days. When you're gone, I'll go mad, so don't throw away this thing we've had. 'Cause when push comes to shove, I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Ba-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, everybody. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, all right, that's You'll Be Back in simple 3-note chords. If you were able to do that, congratulations. You're probably ready for the 4-note chord version, and that's coming up next. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.